Because the CEO of the MTA says that 1% of subway suspects are responsible for more than 20% of the crime because of New York's bail reform laws, which allows them to go back out there and commit more crimes.
I'll get to bail in 1 second. I'm going to answer this one.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Dumbmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, this video is going to be amazing. You're going to see something you've never seen before, ever. And that's me agreeing with Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg after this interview with Kathy Hochul.
I'm sorry, what?
I know, I'm shocked too, but it's kind of amazing what happens when you get a group of buffoons together and you end up seeing which one of them turns out to be the greater buffoon over the other ones. In this case, it's Kathy Hochul. And for me to say that, it pains me really, because, I mean, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, they're sort of the biggest buffoons in media, don't you think? But yet, that should tell you what kind of a train wreck this interview was for Kathy Hochul. We're going to get into all the details of this, but before we do, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows, and if you like what you're seeing here in this or any other video on the channel, I'm going to ask you guys to smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all that, it all feeds the YouTube algorithm.
Yes, it must feed.
Thank you guys so much for hanging with the channel and getting the word out to everybody. We're seeing more subscribers coming every day, and it's all because of you. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. And if you happen to be one of those newbies who are finding the channel for the first time because of the great work of our community, I hope you stick around. I hope this earns your subscription as we talk about Kathy Hochul having the nightmare scenario of being confronted by The View, of all people, about crime, about congestion pricing, about the subways. It was a complete and utter disaster for Kathy Hochul. Her answers, as you'll see, are completely buffoonish, and it's really hard to believe that we have Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg to thank for exposing this buffoonery. Let's get into it right now.
After a series of high-profile crimes on New York City subways, right, you deployed hundreds of state police and National Guard troops into the subway system. But since the pandemic, you have done a wonderful job. Overall crime is down in the city.
Yes, it is.
So my question to you is, why now? Why deploy into the subway? And how do you respond to some of your fellow Democrats calling the move theatrics that play into Republican narratives that blue cities are poorly run war zones?
Now, I'm going to challenge this question by Sunny Hostin. First of all, this is the type of question you'd expect on The View. Everybody's buddy-buddy. They're all on the same team. They wear the same jerseys. They're all in the Democratic Party. They're all liberal. So this is the typical softball question. Tell us how you're doing such a great job. Crime is down, according to Sunny Hostin, pre-pandemic to now. I would submit that's incorrect. If you go and check the actual numbers, and by the way, you can check Actual Justice Warrior, who did a video on this as well. He goes through all the numbers to show that crime in New York City, in the People's Republic of New York City, has not gone down to pre-pandemic levels yet. There was a spike, and it's slowly starting to come down, but especially when it comes to the murder rate. We saw a murder rate under 300 pre-pandemic. We're still over 300 per year in the People's Republic of New York City. At some point, it was around 400. Go to Actual Justice Warrior. I'll put a link in the description so you can see all the numbers for yourself, so you don't have to look it up yourself. But if you want to, New York City also has something called CompStat. You can check the year-over-year crime difference between this time last year and see that murder is up, other types of crime are up. So Sunny Hostin's question has an incorrect premise to it, but it's a softball meant to give Kathy Hochul an opportunity to talk about how great she is. Let's see what happens from here.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. My job is to keep people safe. I have to keep, any way I can, I'm going to keep New Yorkers safe. And I'll tell you who does show appreciation for the people out there on the streets. I've been walking the streets. I walk into business. People are just saying, thank you for taking such strong action.
If you believe that, I have some talking puggles I'd like to sell you.
Now, you are correct that working with Mayor Adams, since I've been governor, we have driven down crimes. You know, homicides are down about 30%, shootings down about 38%. The subways have been safer, but we had a spike recently.
Yes.
A 45% increase in subway crimes. Now, these are high-profile
Can I
crimes.
interrupt you for a
Yeah.
second?
Now, Joy Behar is about to blow up Kathy Hochul's spot, and I'm going to give her props for that. But just to be clear in what's being said here, Kathy Hochul is responding to a 45% spike in violent crime by deploying the National Guard to subway stations in order to check bags. Now, who's going to submit to these bag checks? Are they going to be hardened criminals? No, they're going to avoid those areas. It's going to be the little old ladies with their pocketbooks. It's going to be kids going to school and going through their book bags. You know you're not going to find anything there. Now, there's something to be said about the presence of the National Guard and police officers in these stations that may bring down crime while they're there. But I'm not so sure that that is a great solution to bringing down crime in the subways. It certainly is a nice show of force, and it shows like Kathy Hochul's doing something. But Joy Behar, of all people, is going to blow up this spot.
Because the CEO of the MTA says that 1% of subway suspects are responsible for more than 20% of the crime because of New York's bail reform laws, which allows them to go back out there and commit more crime.
That's a damn good point.
When did Joy Behar become a Republican? My goodness, and she's right. Bail reform has allowed for many repeat offenders to commit more crimes, and she's right in saying that there is a small group of people that is perpetrating a lot more crime because they're let out onto the streets because they can't be held under bail reform. Good job, Joy. I can't believe I just said that, but she's right, and let's give credit where it's due. Here's what Hochul had to say about that.
To bail in 1 second, I'm going to answer this one because what happened is
She's avoiding it. She's returning back to Sunny Hostin, the friendly question, the more politically friendly question, not going to deal with the bail reform question. She wants to keep touting her own record. Unbelievable. To avoid a hard-hitting question, let alone a hard-hitting question from Joy Behar. This is not a good look for Kathy Hochul at all.
needed to do something dramatic and quickly to send a message that you will not get away with committing crimes in our subways. You cannot slash the throat of a conductor. You cannot.
Oh, she went for the applause line, and she's showing that the National Guard there is a show of force. We're not going to let you bad people get away with it. She's wagging her finger at all those bad people doing all those bad things, and you're not going to get away with it because we're going to show that there are people down there enforcing the law. But she's totally avoiding that this bail reform that was passed by Democrats, liberals, leftists in the People's Republic of New York City has caused a spike in crime, especially when it comes to shoplifting and theft, and now these violent crimes in the subway, according to Joy Behar. And honestly, I'm willing to accept her numbers in this because it made Hochul really squirm. So to me, there's got to be an ounce of truth, the kernel of truth, to what Joy Behar was asking that Hochul is now avoiding like the plague.
Push someone out of the track because people will not take the subway if they don't feel safe. That's job number one. So they are not there to harass anybody. I said, I don't like those long guns. They're kind of threatening to stand there. I said, smile at everybody, welcome them to the subway.
And there's your typical liberal buffoonery right there. I don't like the long guns that are being shown by the National Guard in the subway that I put down there because crime is out of control lately. The gun is the problem. It's not the out of control crime. It's I don't like the look of the guns. Are you freaking kidding me right now? Now you see why I call this a train wreck. We're only a few minutes into it, and Hochul is hitting liberal talking points and applause lines and towing that line, even though the People's Republic of New York City and the people within it are seeing all this crime and violence happening in real time on the news every single day.
You are failing!
way, these are moms and dads. The National Guard are just our citizens who've stepped up. So I will do that any day of the week. I take criticism the second I wake up in the morning until I go to bed at night, and I don't care. My job is to protect New Yorkers, and that's one way to do
Okay,
it.
so what about
On the
this?
Hill.
Yeah. What about this? There's like a circular movement
That's
going
why
on here.
last year
Yeah.
I inherited from my predecessor and the legislature before. They took the bail laws and watered them down and made it impossible for judges to look at the whole picture of the crime and the person, what they're doing. So
You're passing the buck?
Okay, let's give Joy Behar credit again. She pressed the question. She's trying to get an answer. And Hochul, like every other politician, avoiding a negative aspect of their administration, is blaming it on someone else. In this case, it's the predecessors, Andrew Cuomo's fault. It's the legislature's fault for really watering down bail reform.
I think you're passing the buck.
I held the budget up 1 month late. I wanted to be on time. You can brag about being on time. I was not going to be on time because I had more leverage after April 1st. So last year I held up the budget. I got the changes I needed. Judges now have discretion. They can look at the whole issue. They can look at whether a gun was involved. Was there an order of protection? We have to protect the victims of domestic violence. My mother was a champion for victims of domestic violence.
But there was just a crime in Long Island where body parts were found all over Long Island. They had 4 suspects. They let them go.
Right.
And now they're out there still. So what
No.
is the deal here?
Right.
Another excellent question.
Look at Joy go. My goodness. Am I becoming a Joy Behar fan? No, I am not going there. But I'm a fan of this segment because she's really holding Kathy Hochul's feet to the fire. I'm astounded here. And yes, there were crimes. There were these body parts being found all through Long Island. It's a big deal story around here. And the people who were charged with the dismemberments and the bad treatment of the corpses and probably are connected somehow to the murder of these people whose body parts are being strewn around, they're out on the street right now. And now Kathy Hochul gets to do a tap dance to respond to that.
Right.
Sounds insane to me.
No, the crime that was brought was not what was bail eligible. Yes, murder is. Yes, conspiracy to commit murder is. Yes, assault is bail eligible. All those are. I know that the DA is working really hard with the Suffolk County Police Department to build the case they need to bring the charges that are necessary. The charges he brought, he did not have enough evidence at time to
So you
hold
can't
him.
hold them?
Not on the charges he brought.
No, you
Not-
have to
but those
have
are low-level charges. They really weren't. And we can work to make those bail eligible in the next session, but I changed the law. It only went into effect last May, by the way. So we've had a real drop in recidivism since I've been governor. Everyone talks about this, down 45%.
Yeah, real decrease in recidivism. Meanwhile, you have the same group of people committing petty larcenies all over the place that are affecting New York City businesses that are closing. And you have people being able to dismember corpses and just be let out because we forgot about putting that into the reform to bail reform in the People's Republic of New York.
In other words, you fucked us.
She's trying to take credit for things that she did, but she didn't do that great of a job of. This is just so bad. It's not a great look. And this is supposed to be the softball crowd for Kathy Hochul. And she's getting raked over the coals by Joy Behar, of all people. But we're not done yet, folks, because when we come back from a break, Kathy Hochul now has to deal with Whoopi Goldberg's grievances concerning congestion pricing that's going to be going into effect in the People's Republic of New York City. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show.
This congestion pricing, I don't understand.
Okay.
Because
Let's go at it. Let's go at it.
because New Yorkers did not mess up the streets. We used to have 4-lane avenues. We had ways to get around. You could get. It might have taken a long time because we have big trucks, but you could get around. The idea of having to pay. I'm a lifelong New Yorker. The idea of having to pay to go from point A to point B without really having the conversation, only to see those things go up anyway, it made me feel like nobody was listening. Nobody said, hey, maybe we should not have put all of these bike lanes everywhere. Maybe we should not
weird
have
parking lanes.
Yes, and you can't get around now. You can't get to Broadway in time unless you leave the day before. So, Governor, I asked you about.
Look at this. They went to do some bonus coverage to give Hochul an opportunity to answer Whoopi Goldberg's grievances about congestion pricing. For those of you who don't know what's going on, New York City is now going to be charging people for entering Manhattan from 60th South. They're calling it the business district, where the courthouses are, where the financial district is, where people travel to commute to work in the People's Republic of New York City for the most part. They're going to be charged if they drive in now. I think it's something like $15 a pop once they enter the district in a certain time. And you're going to see food delivery is going to be charged that amount. People are traveling to work by car are going to be charged that amount. All because they're going to try to encourage people to use the subways, and the money from the congestion pricing is going to go towards the subways and the infrastructure of the MTA and all transit in general, including buses and things like that. The same MTA that people are scared to go into because there's so much violent crime. It's a vicious cycle. New Yorkers are getting screwed every way to Sunday right now, but I don't feel that much sympathy for them because they voted for this. They voted for Kathy Hochul. They voted for all Democrats. So now you get bike lanes because we don't want people driving in and we want to be environmentally friendly that are blocking cars that are traveling and you can't get around to begin with. Now you're going to also make it harder for people to travel around the city because it's going to cost more. All in the name of promoting using the subway and other greener things like the buses and things like that. And there's no safety with that. It's absolutely nuts. But to be fair, let's let Hochul respond to Whoopi Goldberg's grievances.
This congestion pricing, which is driving me berserk.
Right.
What is the point? Because New Yorkers didn't mess up the streets of New York. We have bike lanes in places that we're not prepared for. We have trucks that are too big for what the city says it wants. So how do we make the trucks smaller? How do we make it not another money grab? Because that's what it feels like.
I understand that.
Okay.
There's many reasons why we're doing this. This city is immovable. We're at a crisis where I can walk backwards in heels faster than most trucks can get down the streets right now. The city is paralyzed. The city is paralyzed. But if you're sitting there with a heart attack and the emergency responders are taking too long to get you, and there's a lot of data about how the response times are slower now because people can't get through, then we've got a public safety problem as well. So we want to get more people off the roads. We have the world's greatest, most robust 600 miles of subway trains that take people around. I'm making the subway safer, but also people earning less than $60,000 don't have to pay. We've made a number of exemptions for people. People coming in from New Jersey, you know that 80% of people coming in from New Jersey to work in the central business district, they take public transit. This money is going to be reinvested into making sure that our trains are better.
But for those of you who don't know, the fares have been going up with the MTA, with New York City Transit. I think I might have stolen Whoopi's thunder. She's going to ask about that. But there's already increases in fares, and you're getting all this commuter traffic in. So why are you hitting New Yorkers again for more money? And again, my sympathy for New Yorkers only goes so far because, again, you voted for this. But this is a money grab that Whoopi Goldberg was afraid it was. Let's continue on.
MTA keeps, if I did as poor a job, this is just my opinion, as I feel that the MTA has sort of done over the years, because you keep saying, not you, but they keep making it more expensive to get on the train. It's more expensive to get on the bus. It's more expensive to do everything. And I see people coming in and going and trying to live their lives. And, you know, not everybody wanted to leave New York. People left because they couldn't afford it anymore. Yeah. So why are we in their pockets when all we could do is maybe rearrange how the streets are, move some of those bike lanes, and make it more practical for us to be able to get up and down? Because we all want to get places. Right. And I just think that because so much was done without talking to folks, and now this thing is up, and every time I see it, I go like this to it.
Because isn't it $15 to go downtown?
They were proposing 23. It was dropped. If you go from 9 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning, well, we're trying to push the delivery trucks to those hours. It's only $3 now. And these are for people who have the ability to drive in to the city. We have public transit. I'm going to be announcing that we're doing the bus terminal, which is a hellhole. If you've been over there, hellhole. I'm going to redo that and make it beautiful because most people coming in from New Jersey on buses come through there. I'm trying to...
By all means, make everything great for the people coming in from New Jersey. Screw New Yorkers, right? Did everybody hear that? I mean, she's trying to tout that she's doing some infrastructure improvements, but those are benefiting out-of-towners coming into New York City. The Port Authority bus terminal is not there to help New Yorkers. It's there to help bring other people into New York. What about New Yorkers who are footing the bill for this?
I want to do Penn Station. Penn Station looks like the 7 levels of hell when you're on it. And I'm working hard to build it up. They hate when I say that, by the way. But I'm trying to focus on safety, security, making our streets flow, making our city functional, making sure people are safe. And I understand the complaints about it. But people making less than $60,000 do not have to pay. We're very sensitive to low-income people.
It's a vicious cycle in the People's Republic of New York right now. You have liberals and leftists talking about criminal justice reform, the bail reform that we talked about, that encouraged people to go back out on the streets and commit more crimes, apparently. Maybe not encourage is the right word, but enabled people to go back out on the streets without being held for bail, to then commit the same crime over and over again. We've seen the spike in violence in the MTA that was acknowledged by Hochul. And now we're charging people to discourage them to use their own cars to travel, where they'd be presumably safe, in order to encourage them to go into those subways with the spike of crime and violence, all for infrastructure improvements for out-of-towners to benefit from when they use the bus terminal or when people are leaving New York City. It's this complete vicious cycle of progressive politics that is creating a death spiral for the People's Republic of New York City. People are leaving the city. We've seen it documented in census numbers. We've seen the People's Republic of New York City getting less safe because of leftist policies. And now we're seeing it's becoming even more costly for New Yorkers making $60,000 and up. And by the way, $60,000 doesn't go that far in New York City. It's not like you're living large when you're making $60,000 a year in New York City. So people making just a little bit above that, they're getting hammered again. The working class people of New York City are just suffering at wham after wham. It's completely untenable. But Kathy Hochul is touting all of this. And it's crazy to see the ladies of The View, at least Whoopi and Joy, are not taking it. Now, I wonder if they're not taking it because they see it affecting them and people around them. So maybe they're okay with liberal policies as long as it doesn't affect them, in which case it makes them hypocrites. But beggars can't be choosers, right? I'm going to accept that they're actually seeing the consequences of these policies and want to see a turnaround rather than being hypocrites. At least I hope they're not. But you know what? Let's talk about that in the comments. I want to know what you guys think about this awakening by Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg in this interview with Kathy Hochul. Let's also talk about Kathy Hochul's horrible performance here. If you want to talk about performance, if you want to talk about her responses, the presentation she made here did not do her any favors, in my opinion, but I want to know what you guys think about all this. And as always, like and share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. Let's get in the comments together and discuss this video, along with all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in Dumb Democracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.